2 minutes. should be ready to go. Now, this is about how to share your digital business card. So first, I want to thank everyone for their patience and attendance and watching and all that good stuff. This is brought to you by Arc Loyalty, which is a non-profit dedicated to fighting poverty globally. And it's really simple. They sponsor my contact app, built it, provide it for free. And we believe show love first, one by one, always return kindness. If everyone did that, the world would be a better place. That's our loyalty, and you can thank them for all this really cool, good stuff that is free. Now, the discussion, I want to prepare you for two things. One, I'm not selling anything. I am presenting a thought. I'm asking you to think about something perhaps a little differently than you have before. And I need you to open up a little bit and realize that we have to change how we think in order to change the results that we want. You also have to change how you act. So as this one great martial artist said, knowing is not enough, you must do. And for those that don't know who said that, it is Bruce Lee, not Bruce Leroy, Bruce Lee. Bruce Leroy is from a movie. But we have to, knowing is not enough, we have to do. A lot of us don't even know. We don't know, we forget that we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes we think we know so much that we close off everything else. We're not really willing to learn anything else. You've heard the term teachable. That's what I need from anyone on the call. Not really to be teachable, but open and I want to say learnable, but it's not really teachable. Like I'm going to teach you some things as we talk, but I'm not really trying to teach. I'm trying to share the truth and get you to think about things and let you know what's available. I always tell my children or anyone, like, having knowledge of the problem and presenting me with the problem is one thing, but you need to follow up with the solution. If you don't have a solution, I don't know if I want to really hear the problem. Be careful how you present the problem. So with that thought in mind, I have taken the last 10, 12 years of my life to come up with the solutions of how people would share their information, whatever it might be, and how people can take advantage of this next era that we're in, and that's the internet. Now, there was a time when people said, I don't need a website. I mean, really hardcore. In the early 2000s, I don't need a website. Now, who says that? Some people will say I don't make any money off my website, but everyone understands they need a web presence at least. Now, that's on the business side, but the reality is we have moved to the, I'll call it private, or almost want to say residential, where just the place where everyone needs to have an online presence. And before we get too deep into how to share your digital business card or whatever it may be, I'm going to show you a video. But please understand, every company that has a digital business card will give you some kind of way to share it. They have to. It used to be, here's send a text. Someone can just text in and they'll reply back with your information. They can copy the information and put it in their phone. No one really got into sending a file. Some people do, some people don't, because a lot of people, in the early days of digital business card, and not all phones accept it, but it's called a VCF file or VCARD file. It just, some people didn't know what to do with it. So it was easier to just send it like in a text. All right, moving on, we have the next evolution, which is like the app. I guess if people would share their app. I would have to download your app and all that stuff. Everything lives on the web. And eventually people really, the businesses, the creators of digital business cards really understood that. They realized they had to stop fighting it. And so they make a lot of hybrid, which is an app that like runs off the internet. You can call it a web app, progressive web app. And a lot of big companies use it. Google Maps is now a web app. Twitter has a web app. Facebook has a web app. Like everybody has a web app, progressive web app. And that's really where it's going. With that comes a URL or a web address. And so now usually when someone's trying to share information, they'll say, here are the ways, you can share, a link, it's always about sharing the link, really. And it's just how you're going to get that link into their hands. So knowing that, that's what we're going to talk about, how you're going to get that link into people's hands. And I'm going to show this video to you that really talks about the why. Like, why do you want to share? Why do you want a digital business card or a personal business card? Like, why do you want an online presence? That's the video that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, actually. And you can understand for yourself. Now, some of you might have heard of a company called Google, and the chairman, I think former chairman of Google. Hang on. I got it. There we go. All right. So the guy who was chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt, wrote a book. And I'm going to show you a little quote from the book. I'm going to share my screen with you right now. Oops. Okay. All right. So check this out, what he had to say. Did you catch that? Wait a minute. Let's go back to this. So, shaping the future. See, somebody's thinking ahead, which is why you might have heard of Google People Cards. If you didn't, you might want to check it out. It might be, perfect for you. But what it is basically a digital business card mini version. They give you a web space. If you go like type in a famous person in Google, it'll come up with like their own little digital business card. And so Google gave that to everybody. Why? Because they understand this. Shaping the future, your identity exists primarily online. And people, they need to curate that content. You need to shape that content. So they gave you a space. Since we trust Google, with a lot of information and all that, we're like, okay, Google. But see, Google's an advertising agency. We're giving all of our information to them so they can further advertise. And you still don't have like a super space, and you don't have your own domain name. So you're kind of still, leasing land from Google. Now, let me continue on. And it will exist primarily online. Look at that quote. Identity will be the most valuable commodity for citizens in the future and it will exist primarily online. So if we think about the future, which we all do, one way or another, right? When you want to go somewhere, you think about when you got to leave, how you're going to get there. You're thinking about the future. If you want to give somebody your contact information,
you are then thinking about the future. You got to ask yourself, how am I going to give them my contact information? And you also need to ask yourself, why is it important? Well, that video should have showed you a little why it's important to have a hub that you can control your online identity and have like an authentic space for yourself. You can express yourself, you can share whatever you want. People can download your contact information there, or whatever company you want to use, right? Very, very important. But the question goes to how you're going to share it. There's tons of digital business cards. Uh, I'll show you. I'll show you this one. It's a company. They offer digital business cards. How do they offer to be able to share your digital business card? Well, like a lot of companies, right? You have social media share on the left, phone number right here in the middle. You have text and email, and somewhere along here you can share the link, or you just get the link from the top. But that's not my like personal, right? It's just so generic. It's not a profile. But I could get a URL like chriscollinsenior.com. So you have a, it doesn't matter what company you have, a home. You know, my internet contact address hub is Mica. That's the generic term that everyone's going to be using because we all need that hub. You can look around. People have been talking about it. Oh, sorry about that. But what we have to look at is how are we going to get this card to somebody else's phone, to somebody else's hand. That's the critical part, and where a lot of people miss out. So you have a couple of different ways to do that. You can do through phone, and if you look at your phone, right, you have your phone text, and you see down at the bottom, right, the green is the phone, the other one is the text, and I have contacts over here. So those are really, I mean, I don't even know contacts I wouldn't share. I need to share my URL. Are you catching this? We don't really think about it though. We're just like, oh yeah, we can send a link to somebody. Okay, so we meet somebody and we're like, oh, here's my card, and you send them the link. Say you text them the link, or you have an easy one like my chriscollinsenior.com or something, you know, your name, and they go there. Now what? They're there at your site. Let's go to Tiffany. They're there here at Tiffany's site. What are they going to do? Some people will save it to their home screen, like I did. But you see also, I have so many things here that I end up putting them in folders. I just have like too much stuff. Not many don't go in a folder. And when I clean it up, I throw them in a folder. And sometimes I forget about it. So is that what you're going to do? Send them the link. They're going to open it. They're going to look at it, be like, oh, okay, cool. If I need it, I'll get there. And they're done. Maybe they save it to their home screen if you urge to. But if they need space, or when you walk away, they put it away. So to me, that's kind of, catch 22. Now, my objective, I used to fix TVs at 10. I just like to tinker and fix things and stuff. And so when I started thinking about contacts and the value and importance of it, and I saw ahead, if you notice, all these places want to connect your contacts because that helps. That helps the networking. That helps them be able to give suggestions and everything. But if you're not in the contacts, it's not helping you, right? So you need to be in the contact. So this is the thought process I want you to go through, really. If you share your information, great. However you get it there, great. They get it. You're comfortable with that. All right. But you should think about how you're going to do it. You should have a plan. Like, I meet somebody, how am I going to get them my contact info? When you get into a car, you don't just sit down. You get in and you know where you're going, how to start it, how to drive it. And at first you didn't know, but you learned because it was worth it. So, right now you might not think that it's worth it learning the different ways to share your digital business card, but it is. Think of the internet when it first started. People didn't think it was worth getting a website. They didn't think it was worth doing business online. Now look at it. It's not going anywhere. It's pretty stable. Did you know that some people thought the cell phone was pointless, the laptop was pointless, computers at home were pointless? Like, so many things that we use now, a lot of people thought, hey, it's no point. And this is going to be one of them, online life. So you have a choice to take control of yours, or let the big companies take control and do what they want to do. So assuming that you're taking control of yours, you have your card, you share it. What do you want them to do? What is your objective? Why are you sharing? See, before a digital business card, I told you it was it was the digital business card in a text form. So you knew that people would see that, and most likely they would save you to their address book, or they would just keep the text and then go back to the text when they needed to. But even still, they may not recognize the number, so they would save your number. All right, you're in the address book. Nowadays, we don't recognize that value, but the big companies do. See, they do. Think of self-driving cars. They're going to want to connect to your contacts to know where to go. Okay, so now you get someone to have your contact information. What's your objective? That's what you have to ask. What's my objective? And if your objective is to just have them go to your social media, this is probably a great thing for you. Just digital business card, they click on it, they connect with you, blah, 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 you're done. But if you really want like a long-term connection, you're going to want them to go into your contacts, or vice versa. You're going to want them to put you in their contacts. And really, you'll want them in yours too, most likely. So now you got to ask yourself, how do you get into the contacts? How can you make it like simple, smooth? And ask yourself, what information do you put in the contacts? Well, most apps, like some of you may not know, but Apple, Google, they cleaned up the app stores and said, hey, if it's not like a real app, remember I told you about the web apps and progressive web apps? Well, some of those were apps in the app store, and Apple was like, you don't belong here. You're just a bunch of links. You're not like, we don't need native, which means like you don't need to download this in order for people to be using what your app does. Because a lot of apps are just links to other things, and they might be like encased inside of your app, if you can picture that. So you can see this. This is not this is a web app, right? But there are real apps where stuff like this, see, that's her site, it's inside the app. Why do I need to go pay all this money to get an app when I can put sites right inside of my contact app? But yeah, that's just something to know. So now you ask yourself, it depends what you do. Do you want to be in their contacts? Do you really want to have like a deep connection? We're not even talking about the marketability of anything, just how to share it and where do you want it to go. So a lot of companies now, their future, man, you gotta love it. They're doing NFC and QR codes. QR codes are everywhere. So you'll see here, Tiffany, she has a QR code that will go directly to here, which is great. It's great. And then there's the NFC side, which NFC, let me see, I'll show you here. NFC stands for near field communication. And you see up top there, that thing is gonna move over it. And essentially it's like Apple Pay, Google Pay. You know, when you go to the register, you tap your phone or your watch or something, and it transfers information. So some companies offer a little sticker like that you put on the back of your phone, and it's NFC. You tap someone's phone and it sends them the link. So that's a good way for them to get the link. But what if I don't have that ability on my phone? Well, then companies will give you a card and it will have a QR code on it. All right. So those are two good ways. But then it's still the same dilemma, like the contacts, right? Are you going to be in the contacts, or are they just getting the link? And this is where a lot of people are not really thinking about it. It's like being in a car and learning how to do certain functions like drive, back up, but not turn on the air conditioning. So when it's hot out, it's like, whoa. So in other words, when you run across someone that doesn't have this technology, AKA it's hot out, what do? You need to turn on the air conditioning, or you need to have an alternate route. You got to have a backup. And we need to think about that opportunity. And that's what do you, so you can say, here's the number, and just give it to them. You can say, here's my my social handle, and give it to them. But or you can say, here's the link, and give it to them. Any of those get you in the contacts. If you're not doing something after that, you're probably being lost. And that's just the simple truth. I mean, if they leave that social network, you've lost that connection. It's not your connection. What if you get banned or kicked out? That then it's done, and we don't want that. So there's another way. There's also phone number. people always just say, here's my number, call me. But you're not getting in the contacts that way with information that you want. So you can get in the contacts anytime, but you're going to want information in the contacts. I just spoke with this lady today, SiteLock. That's all. And I got her number. And that's it. But you know what I have to do all the time is like call. I'm looking for another one to show you. What I have to do all the time is call. Well, I think I may show you. No, I'll show you mine. Hang on, it's coming along. Well, here's a company too. This is a company. They provide this, right? And that's all they put in their contacts, which may be enough if that's your home, and you know that you'll always be there. What happens when I click on that? It obviously is not these people home because it's gone. So being in the contacts, card not available. Being in the contacts is one thing, but what you're going to put in the contacts is another. It's a barbershop near me, and look at like the content that I put in the contacts. See, it's a bunch of links. So if I can get people to save my contact information, here's everything that they would want anyway, and they can still click to see my digital business card in here. So that's what you would want. A lot of these contact form makers or something, they don't allow you to do this. That's the difference with my contact app. We allow you to do this. Look, you can see all the Instagram, Facebook, some of this stuff too, we can make so that you can actually keep track of it. You know, how many times people click on it. So then you'll know like, oh yeah, they're clicking on this from my contact app. What else we got here? You can see for my social media, click below. And you know, iPhone is readable. So that's cross compatible. Some things in an iPhone, when you share it to an Android, it may not come out the same way, or at least the way that you thought it would come out. And that is something that people are missing. So if you share the contact, including notes, right? You can put notes in there, business or personal, put some notes in there. And when people go to search through their phone, it'll bring up notes from the contacts. A lot of people don't realize that. So you can like optimize your contact to provide all this information, add some emojis, put some flavor to it. Like that's what we want, really, right? Our personality, put flavor on it. You can tell people where to go for what purpose. Center for Disease Control, click below. World Health Organization, click below. You can see that, right? Click below. You're gonna click below for that. So that's content that's in the contacts. Regardless, you're going to want to get there because who deletes their contacts? We delete apps, but do we really delete contacts? Nah, not that much. So we have, so far you can share the phone, just like here's my phone number. You can share the URL, all that. And I just wonder, you know, how do you share? And what's your goal? Are you thinking about what's your endpoint? What's your end game? Well, in sales, they say 80% or 20% of the sales force. If you're trying to make like serious connections, then you want people to save your contacts. If you care about that connection, you want them to save you in their contacts. If you want to start off slow, you can say, hey, here's my contact information on my card, and, you know, find me online. All this is something you have to consider. At the end of the day, I honestly believe if you want to have a long lasting relationship, you need to get into contacts for the very basic fact that people really don't delete it. And you saw all that content that can be put in there, but none of these contact card makers have it. And I'll show you. NFC Tools is a very popular site that people use, or not site, but app that people use to create that NFC. You can program it here to do what you want. But if you look at their contacts, this is all they give you. And some companies like, oh, you can do the contact form. That's just not enough. You can't add descriptors and everything else. So I say content. Well, you also need barriers, right? So an easy way to share your information, to me, the easiest way is to say, here's my number. The problem is it doesn't give any content. It just gives my number, like the one that I showed you. But what if your number reacted? You know, your number had a life of its own. When you called it, it could do stuff. So I have my phone number, my social contact card number, and when you call it, it does stuff. I could set it so you can leave a message, you could forward to me. So yeah, you can press the button, it'll go, you know, transfer the call to me. And you can press, 5 for this, 7 for that, and you can get a text back. I have it set so when you call it, it automatically sends you a text back. That text says, "Hey, I don't answer unknown calls." Let me see if I can show you real quick. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm still sharing my screen. I'd be forgetting that. Okay, so let me show you. It'll say this. Oh, too much. If you call my number, it will say this. Hang on, here we go, people. All right. It'll say, "Hi, I don't answer unknown calls. Please add yourself to my contacts instantly to get my information text back to you." That's it. They can go there to my Mica, or which you take there, and they can fill out that form, and it will actually go to me, and I can press a button and it will save in my contacts. That's cool. When they do that, they'll also get my information, whatever information I want them to have. Now we're connected. I'm in their contacts with content, and it's pretty cool. So that's how I handle it. And all you gotta do is call that number. That's just so easy. My grandma, my mom could do it. The other thing is if someone texts the number, then what? Well, if they text it, the same reply will come through. So, I set it up how I want it to, be set up. So that's a way. The other way is QR codes, ever so popular, right? If you go look here, you'll see QR code everywhere. They're everywhere around here. I'm not even gonna bother with walking you through all of it. Well, right here, there's a QR code at the top. They're just everywhere. They're even in the contacts. You can see down here on the left, QR code. That's just going to share contacts. And the QR code reader at the top will just read a contact QR code. These are things like they don't tell you, but it's all right. Everything you need is right here. It's all right here in your phone, in your device. It's a device. It's not a phone. So you have the phone number. I love it. We call it social contact card number. And you have the NFC thing. Problem with the NFC thing is, and let me show you this competitor because I'm not playing video right now. Where's it at? Hang on. Not a competitor. There's no competitor for what we have. No one has this. This is a social dot. They're cool. $49 for one. All it is NFC, and they give you that profile. Not bad. Share anything, share a link, and it works. This problem is, some of you might have seen that when I turned on the NFC tools, it said NFC not activated. I actually have to go here and turn on my NFC. If I don't have it on, it's not going to work. Some phones don't have it. It's just, you don't know. You don't know. But the QR code, we know that all you got to do is, for me, I have a QR code thing here, scan QR code, but I don't need to use that. I can just turn on the camera. Most of the phone carriers have like made it automatic. So you can scan the QR code, which what these companies do, they'll give you a card, or in the app, like you saw with Tiffany here, they'll say, "Oh, no problem. If someone doesn't have, NFC, just open up your app and have them scan it." That works. But why not just go with a QR pop, which is actually a combo. It has NFC and a QR code built right on it, and it goes on anywhere. On the back of your phone, house, go, in the restaurant, you can share your menu, share whatever you want. So let's watch a video real quick and check out QR pop. Let me make it big. All right. So there's QR pop, the only sticker like this. And it comes pre-programmed. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have NFC, I can't program. Because what, a flaw of some of these companies is they send you the NFC sticker, then you have to program it. All right, what if you don't have NFC, you can't program it? Right, so that's something to keep in mind. But with us, it comes pre-programmed, and it's easy for you to change it. All you got to do is log in. It walks you through it. You log in and you change the web address. So you don't need to use my contact app. You can use anybody you want. It's just a method of sharing. And so some of these companies, well, now we got the patent pending on it, so I don't want to be able to do it like this, but they're all giving you every way that they know to share, but all the ways are the same. If all things, being equal, who are you going to choose and why? So that, that's another part of this, like everything being equal, sharing is all equal, this is all equal. And what's the next thing you're looking for? Company stability. These companies are doing this. Company stability. You're looking for like what the coolest looking web interface. Let me tell you something about the web interface and like how the site looks. That can be done over easily. We're in the process of redoing ours right now. So that part can be done. But that back end, like the contacts, we're the only ones that do that contact. And one thing that's really cool, I'm going to show you this before it was done. One thing that's really cool, check out my card. Got to stare at it for a minute, but our contact maker is by far the best in the world. And you saw what just happened? My face just changed. Nobody else does that. Nobody. And you got to use our system for it. If you try and like create one and then share it, it'll go away. But I don't care what system you use. I'm just saying, all things being equal, who you going to go with and why? If you want to get your information into the contacts, you can use our contact maker, but not our web, interface. Like you don't have to use our digital business card. You can use whoever you want. The one I showed you in the beginning, use them, use whoever, use these people. It doesn't matter. But how are you going to share it? See? So that's why this is for anyone, doctor or whatever. Like you can have that QR pop sitting at the checkout counter and people can tap scan. It's all about like how you share. And I just read something today about Uber, and it was saying they thought Uber would be great because it would relieve Uber and Lyft. It would like take away traffic and stuff, but actually it's worse in some cases because people are like hovering in the same area. Essentially, doesn't matter why. Essentially, it's just not the godsend that they thought it would be. Well, I believe this is similar. Like the NFC is great, which is why we have the QR pop. But at this point, it's not necessarily the godsend because a lot of people don't know it exists. But the QR code is being popped up everywhere. So if you can hybrid them together, kind of ride that wave to everyone has NFC, you'll be in the money. And you got the phone number. Those are the ways to share. Like everything else is pretty, but think about it. How do we share? We share through like AirDrop, but I don't have iPhone. So then, right? So you have to have the same app in some cases, all that. I just covered some of the most popular ways. Phone number, text, of course, there's like social media and stuff, but still like I'm giving you something, right? So it's phone number, text, AirDrop, or like some kind of file share thing like that, which still requires me to like do work. And you have the NFC and QR code. What company, if I'm looking at all things being equal, I'm thinking what company is future minded and which one is going to help me not miss an opportunity? Which one? Now we're building a new interface, so we'll have that. But are the companies that you've been thinking about, do they have a contact card like what I just showed you? Are they thinking about that? Are you going to be limited? There's just something to consider. How do you share your information? And regardless of what company, just how do you share? I'd say get a QR pop, get a social contact card number, cover all the bases, never be embarrassed. And then learn how to drive your car. So when you meet someone, if you don't think they're tech savvy, don't even bother do all that stuff like tapping the phone. I call it phone fondling when you're like rubbing around trying to get it to work. Just tell them open up your camera and they can scan it. If it doesn't work like right away because you need lighting and certain things, just say, here's my number. Give me your social contact. Done. You're not gonna miss any opportunity. You just got to know how to drive your vehicle. So that is, my friends, QR pop. I'm gonna show you one more video, or that's the question that I have for you. These are the solutions that I come up with. Like I said, I don't like to present the problem without having a solution. And I would love for someone to show me some more solutions so that we can include them if you have any. Otherwise, this is it. I hope that you can appreciate them and leave a comment, share, like all of that good stuff, subscribe. This is what I'm talking about. Trying to get people to understand differently. You got to put a little thought into it, a little more thought than we've into. So check out this video, and then we're going to call it a wrap. And that is so true. It's so simple that some people can't believe it. It just works. You're like, oh my goodness, it works. And to change it, you just log on and change the URL. That's the QR pop. My question to you, how do you share your information? Let me know. Share some things. What do you prefer? I like the sticker. I don't like a card because, I like the sticker and the phone number, honestly, because I take my phone pretty much everywhere. And when I don't, I have my phone, my phone number, right? I can give the number and everything still works electronically. Contacts are stored online as well as I get to save it to my phone. I can turn around and send bulk SMS messages and do a whole bunch of like business building tools. I mean, to be able to send a text to everybody individually with one click is pretty cool. And it's all like built in. So it makes it just so awesome. I'm not going into my contact app now. If I have an opportunity, I'll hop back on and maybe do a little demo through that. I appreciate your time. Remember, show love first, one by one, always return kindness. That's our loyalty. My name is Christopher. Thank you. Now, once again, Zoom eludes me.